reaching high, snatch the light out from the sky. Leafy sighs, creaking bones, pray you don't get found alone. Crickly crack, the branches pop, it grows the night that never stops. The tree that leans with twisted grin, her limbs are thrown, her soul is sin. Underneath the crooked moon stalks the king on cloven hoof, in pale decay and empty gloom. He comes for you. Six horns his crown, his kingdom all, for life delicious heed his call. He carries six of sword and seal, once wayward souls the fallen kneel. Run, run, don't shrink and cower, and join us at the witching hour. Skip and sing, thrashing light to smother the shrieks of endless night. Dance beneath the crooked moon, and rising rapture hand in hand, from pale decay and empty gloom, we'll comfort you. May our light embrace you too.
Hello, everybody. This is Front Porch Forensics Cryptid Chronicles, late night Front Porch Forensics. uh, this is BumpStock Ken. For those who just saw us earlier on our Front Porch Forensics episode, and you are back for this, then thank you for joining. This is a first time episode, trying something new, testing out equipment, and I've always wanted to do a show about cryptids, if you will. And I understand that there's a lot of shows out there like this. Um, but I want to do an Appalachian flair to it because that's where we live. I call Appalachian Mountains our home. And there's a lot of history with this region, a lot of stories. And if y'all are aware of some of the lore that goes here, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of us that has lived here our entire lives know that the lore is pretty widespread. There's a lot of stories that come from this region. Some of them are fantastical. Some of them are um, based in fact, based in personal sightings and experiences, and I'm going to share a couple of those tonight. But I figured the first thing we need to do really is talk about Appalachian Mountains and some of the rules and the lore that goes along here. And there is plenty of it, that's for sure. Um, I'm looking through my phone right now, getting a couple of images up that I want to share with you, um, just to give you an idea of what we'll be looking at later today, or here in a few minutes, I should say. So first off, let's look at Like I said, we want to look at some of the lore and I just got a message that said the sound is clear and really good. Thank you. Um, so let's just look at some of that to begin with. Uh, Bear with me just a second. I'm trying to get a couple of these images up that I can share with you guys. And here in a minute, but I might have heard that. I know I heard it in my headphones. Mm, Pardon me. Okay. So let's start it off right. So welcome to Front Porch Forensics Cryptid Chronicles, Episode 1, um, where we walk through the old trails between what we know and what the mountains refuse to forget. Tonight's episode is going to be a full length journey, if you will, a good long hike. Um, I won't keep it too long, half an hour or so maybe. But we're going to look at some of the ancient lore, the hard-earned survival rules, and creatures that blur the line between legend and nightmare. Uh, we begin in the deep folds of the Appalachian Mountains. Again, that's where we're from. The land itself holds much more than just trees and hollers and mountains. Um, it holds legends, if you will. So I know it's late, but y'all go ahead and dim the lights, get comfortable, pull up a chair on the porch with me, get you a drink, coffee if you want to stay awake, something stronger if you want to relax, whatever your choice is. Just sit back, join me, join the chat. I know it's open, and whatever you do, if you need to talk loud, you need to whisper, whatever. Just don't whistle while you do it because the sun's went down already. So let's head into the hollers and see what we're gonna talk. See what we can find. Right. So the Appalachian Mountains stretch more than 2,000 miles from North Alabama up to Canada. The peaks are very ancient. They formed, it's said, 1.2 billion years ago. It is the oldest mountain chain in the world. Um, People even say that it is actually older than Saturn's rings. Um, that's pretty impressive if you think about that. So the immense age seeps into the culture like mist into the hollers. Cherokee traditions, Scottish, Irish settlers, they brought their traditions in when they came to the area. You have African folklore as well uh, when they come into the region and started moving and living amongst everybody there. And then all these generations of isolation in the mountains. Uh, it's hard to get to these areas, and it's pretty close to impossible back in the day uh, to get past some of these ridges. Just in particular, it's extremely hard. You couldn't drive to them. You had to get there and walk a lot of times. So the isolation created a whole other culture. So when you have Native American cultures, you have Scottish and Irish cultures for those immigrants coming in. You have the African American cultures all mixing together, complete, and then you add it all together with isolation. It builds its own history. It builds its own culture, and through that, uh, legends begin. That's where we get our lore from. Stories here serve a purpose, right? I done a special probably last year about Appalachian music, how the music of the area is not just fiddles and guitars, but there's stories, and it's a way to keep tradition and stories alive about through music. And this is the same way with the lore and the stories of the Appalachian Mountains as well. It keeps um, these things alive by telling them and sharing them with each other. And that's kind of what I want to do tonight. So But these stories, they warn children uh, from dangers, whether it be caverns or cliffs or mine shafts or predators. They explain tragedy when answers are scarce, when you can't, when you have some sort of tragedy that you can't explain. Sometimes you come up with something that's understandable to explain away something that can't be explained. They teach respect for the land, and these land here, these mountains can swallow somebody whole, and they'll never be seen again. You know, you stand in certain spots, and you can feel the weight and time of these mountains pressing down on you. They're alive in their own right. When I was in Africa, I always say that you could feel the land there, feel like it had a life of its own. That you could feel almost like a vibration, almost like a energy when I was there. And the same goes for here in this mountain range. You feel the presence of something, whether you think it's God or you think it's something darker. It really can depend on where you're at and what time it is. Um, Either way, you can find something unexplainable here, something that touches very deep inside of you, and hopefully it's something good, but that's not always the case. So some of the legends, the popular ones that I think, I guess, are kind of iconic in a way that deal with the Appalachian Mountains is, of course, number one would probably be Mothman. I think everybody, when you think of um, an Appalachian cryptid, Mothman comes to the mind of a lot of folks. Um, that's Point Pleasant, West Virginia, from 1966 and onward. I mean, even up till today, recent years at least. The Mothman is a tall, winged humanoid with glowing red eyes, whose appearance often preceded, um, he's a harbinger of chaos and death, right? That's what he's considered. But the most um, legendary sighting of the Mothman was preceded the Silver Bridge collapse, 1966. Um, that's when he really first come on the scene a few days before the collapse, as a harbinger of this catastrophe. And he was there on the bridge the day it collapsed, according to eyewitnesses. And the Mothman is a great one. I think most people are familiar with him. Uh, Also, the Bell Witch. We mentioned the Bell Witch back in October last year on Front Porch Forensics. We done a special on witches. And the Bell Witch is in Tennessee. I think it was the early 1800s. Yeah, Richard Gere was in a movie about the Mothman. Um, Mothman Chronicles. I can't remember what the name of that movie. But anyways, Richard Gere was in it. It was pretty good. It was all right. Let's see. The Bell Witch was an entity that tormented the Bell family uh, with slapping, kicking, tripping the people, speaking with impossible knowledge, shape shifting. Um, and there's a cave there on site on that property land, on that land that people say the Bell Witch resides in even to this day. It still draws visitors there. You can get tours of the cave and all that. So that's a tangible place you can go to and actually see and experience the Bell Witch history there in Tennessee. Let's see, we got Brown Mountain Lights. That's another one. That's in North Carolina. These are these mysterious lights with like an intelligent orb, if you will, and they dance in and out of the hills, through the trees, things like that. They like lure people to follow them. I don't know that they're necessarily dangerous, but that's another one that's pretty popular. That's in the Carolinas. But that's been going on for reports of that have been going on for well over 100 years. Um, let's see, others are the Flatwoods Monster, Raven Mockers, which is Cherokee tradition. They're witches in the Cherokee tradition. The Wampus Cat, which is pretty fun one. Um, we'll have to do one on it. Let's see, there's um, the Snallygaster, Pale Crawlers, multiple different types of mimics. We have a Boo Hag, which is my wife's favorite. Of course, there's Sasquatch, Wolfman, things like that, Dogman. I think there's more. There's a Pig Man, Goat Man. But then you have the other ones that are the mimics. You have the Knot Deer, and that's a pretty popular one, especially in the region where I'm at. That's pretty good. Now these are just fireside tales, like in remote hollers and during the harsh winters, especially the further up north you get in the mountains. Very dangerous wildlife, and being so remote, people have limited access to help when these things happen. Folklore was a very practical knowledge wrapped up in supernatural. They were a way to, like I said, as a warning, as a deterrent, as a reasoning to something that you can't really understand. So they served a lot of purposes. These stories did, and but a lot of these stories are based in real life. Um, a real life cattywampus. I'm getting comments. I'm sorry. Real life eyewitness accounts. These things happen, and they're based in these things, and it's more of a report than a story at that point. So Appalachian superstitions. Let's start there. We'll mainly focus on that tonight. I think everybody's heard that there's rules, especially if you grew up around here. There's definitely rules of the mountains that you have to follow, right? Excuse me. So daily life, it comes with a web of beliefs, and these beliefs are passed down generationally through families. Um, these beliefs are or rules are very much taken seriously. The newer generations not as strong, but they were taken very seriously. Even my grandmother's day, and I take a lot of these very seriously too. Because I mean, why not? Why chance it, right? Some of these rules just make sense. So, but some of the more out there ones is like for instance, leave one apple on the tree at harvest. Like when you're done harvesting your apples or whatever, it can be anything. Uh, orange, peach tree, apple tree, whatever it may be. But you leave an apple, you leave a ear of corn, you leave some berries on the vine, or else you will invite the devil to come pick it, and you don't want the devil anywhere near you. So that's one. You leave something for the devil to pick, because if there's nothing left for him to get off the vine, he's going to come to your house to get it from you. So just leave him something. Um, there's another one where you hold your breath when you pass cemeteries. Turn your radio off when you pass cemeteries. Don't sing when you pass cemeteries. Uh, hold your breath going over a bridge. Things like that. Those are just some of the rules that are handed down. Um, open a door when someone dies so their spirit can leave. That's another big one. The never sweep dirt out the door or take an old broom into a new house. When you have when you have the when you get a new place, don't take your old broom with you, because you're bringing back some of the old dirt, some of the old trash, things like that, some of the old bad energy with you. So when you leave your old place, leave the old broom, get a new broom before you go back in. Uh, Death comes in threes. This is pretty common. The seventh son of a seventh son has gifts. You can also say the seventh daughter of a seventh daughter is touched with some sort of special gift or abilities. Paint blue. You paint your porch top, in a certain hue of blue. It's called haint blue, and it's such a popular thing here in our region that it actually has its own name. When you say haint blue, everybody knows what color you're talking about. But you paint your porch with that to keep the haints are evil spirits from coming into your area. And the most common one here that we have uh, is don't whistle at night. Um, you're inviting spirits in. You're giving them a voice to answer you back. So don't whistle at night. Don't put your shoes on the bed. That's another rule. Um, and one of the other ones, and I remember a great aunt would do this with hair clippings. You don't leave your hair clippings laying around, because if a witch gets them, they can use them in their spells against you because it's something from you. So she would always burn hair after she gave somebody a haircut. She'd burn the hair clippings uh, for safety, so the witches couldn't use them. Right. So that's another one. Hold on, I got to check. I'm getting some texts here too. Um, yeah, our daughter, especially about the whistling at night, she will she believes in this one. She will yell at us and run into the house if somebody whistles. She does not like that one at all. Um, the Like one time we were outside after dark, and I would just whistle something real quick, and my daughter, she's 16 now, she will jump up and spin around and almost cuss us out. No, don't you do that. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Even if we're in the truck and the window's down, if I'll whistle, she'll roll the window back up. And so me and my wife, we like to mess with her with that one. And she takes it seriously. Our daughter does. She does not like for anybody to whistle at night. Um, it's it's a it's pretty funny, but I kind of also understand where she comes from. Why take chances with it, right? So maybe she's smarter than I am. Well, in a lot of ways, I know she's smarter than I am. So, but those are just a few that I've always thought were pretty interesting. Um, Now, deeper after all those more common ones, there's the unwritten rules of Appalachian lore, right? So it's like the an oral survival code, if you will. This is passed down word of mouth generationally from people who believe it and who live it, and it's kind of like you said, it's an oral survival code for the deep woods. And we live pretty deep in the woods. We can't see any neighbors where we're at, um, and I like it that way. I like being way back here in the woods. Now these are taught by like I said, family. Think like uncles and grannies and all across these communities, these back towns. People in your family and family friends know these rules, and they tell you about them. But there's some variations to these depending on the area you're at. But the core warnings of all these are very, very consistent, no matter what part of the Appalachian chain you're in. They're very, very consistent, surprisingly so, for such a wide area. Like one of them is never be in the woods from dusk until dawn. Um, and, don't be outside by yourself in these woods from dusk till dawn. Stay on the marked trails. They exist for a reason. Their safety on those trails. So stay on them. If the woods suddenly go quiet, like unnaturally silent, no bugs, no birds, no crickets, no frogs, you have to leave immediately. Something big or something more likely, something wrong is near, right? Again, never whistle, sing, or make repeated calls, especially at night, because things will answer you. If you hear, and for instance, if you hear voices or your name called from unseen places, do not respond. Mimics will use that to lure you deeper um, into the woods. And another one that I've always heard, yeah, I have gone inside when things go silent. That was in the chat room from my lovely wife, and that's true. If we're outside and it goes dark or it goes quiet for no reason, we normally move inside. Um, but the voices, if you hear your name called from an unseen place, don't respond to it. Mimics like to lure you out further, and they'll use your voice, they'll use a loved one's voice, baby crying, things like that is another common one. Then you've got another unique thing too that happens is the saying goes, if it sounds like it's far away, then that means it's actually very close to you because it's trying to trick you into thinking that there's safety and distance. But if it sounds very, very close, then that means that it's actually far away. Um, yeah, never, ever, ever respond to a voice calling for help in the woods at dark like that when you're alone. Um, if you see something strange, um, no, you didn't. That's kind of the answer. You did not actually say that. Don't acknowledge it. Don't point it out. Just keep moving. Um, you hear something, you see something, red eyes, glowing eyes, something moving along beside you off the path. Don't acknowledge it. You give it power when you acknowledge it. So just keep moving. Don't look. And again, and a good safe way to do that is don't look into the trees um, very hard either. Just they're trees. Move on. Trust your gut is maybe the best one. If it feels off, if you feel it in your bones, in your guts that something's wrong, then something is wrong. That's just common sense. But in the woods, you trust it and you get inside. Don't wait, just get inside, right? And then one, two, and this also kind of falls into anything in the Fey realm. Never eat or drink anything offered in a mysterious structure deep in the wilderness. If you are, especially in the Fey realm, if you eat something, you can be locked there. It anchors you to that spot. So don't accept any food or drink from a stranger if it seems off to you or seems odd. Then trust that gut. Don't accept anything from those. Your instincts are given to you for a reason. Learn to listen to them, and that's from the chat, and that's true. Um, you have those instincts there. God put them in you for a reason, so listen to them. Even if it feels kind of silly, just trust it and move on, right? So these rules, they blend some practical safety things, make sense, right? With it blends those practical safety things with encounters that defy easy labels. People who broke them have vanished, returned, changed, or told stories of pursuit by things that they knew that knew their names. Um, you, for instance, like people's vanish and return changed. We've seen videos, and there's one picture, and I forget the boy's name, where he was gone for a few weeks or whatever, a few days, and he looks physically different once they found him. There's an old tradition, I think it come from Irish and Scottish lore, about changelings, where the fae or the demons involved, whatever you want to call them, can take you, create a mimic of you, and then send that mimic back to your family, and or they will just possess you in a way that you're different when you return. Um, a lot of times, yes, it's that little redheaded boy. I know I can't find his name. If you want to look it up real quick, that would be cool. Just sit in the chat. But it's pretty interesting to watch that in real time, real life event. But yeah, I mean, I've known people who have disappeared in these mountains with no trace for no reason, uh, hiking the Appalachian Trail, and there's many stories of that where people just disappear. There's no real rhyme or reason or any kind of sign of foul play, nothing. They just gone and they never return. Or sometimes, in a couple of cases, the body has returned in this place that was already searched. So there's some very strange things in those mountains, right? And like I said, these mountains I call home. I live in the southern. Um, that little redheaded boy in the chat says, I literally posted BS. I know a changeling when I see one about that boy. Yeah, I feel you. I did the same thing. But like I said, I live in the southern reaches of the Appalachian Mountains. Grew up here, traveled all over up through the mountain chain, and I've heard stories locally, and I've heard stories from up there, and from other people in other areas. But for the second part of the show tonight, I want to talk about some local things here. Um, so I'm going to transition for a second. I'm going to go get me a drink, have just a little minute or two of a break. So I'm going to go get me something to drink. I'll be right back. And we're going to we'll be crossing out of the mountain range proper into what some folks call the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And we're going to be talking about the Alabama White Thang. And that's thing with a A. So we'll be right back with that. And I hope you guys stay with me. Join the chat. Tell me if you got some stories that y'all want to share about some of the things that you might have seen. And I will be right back with that. So y'all hang on.
Hungry woods reaching high, snatch the light out from the sky. Leafy sighs, creaking bones, pray you don't get found alone. Crickly crack, the branches pop, it grows the night that never stops. The tree that leans with twisted grin, her limbs are thrown, her soul is sin. Underneath the crooked moon stalks the king on cloven hoof, in pale decay and empty gloom. He comes for you. Six horns his crown, his kingdom all, for life delicious heed his call. Once wayward souls that fall and kneel. Run, run, don't shrink and cower, and join us at the witching hour. Skip and sing, thrashing light to smother the shrieks of endless night. Dance beneath the crooked moon, and rising rapture hand in hand. From pale decay and empty gloom, we'll comfort you. May our light embrace you too, and pierce the edge of midnight soon. Through Waker's blaze and ashen gloom, the crooked
I want. Got to unmute myself. All right. Thank you for coming back, hanging out with me. We're talking about Appalachian folklore. That song for the intro is, let me find it real quick. I want to make sure I give those people let them know that it is Crooked Moon is the name of the song. The Blasting Company is the name of the song. Leona Evans and the Blasting Company, Crooked Moon. You find that I found on Spotify from Appalachian Horror Playlist. Definitely my kind of music, so love that kind of stuff. All right, so we're gonna get back into the show and talk about mainly the Alabama White Thang. And wow, there's about 115 people listening. That's pretty cool. Again, the chats are open. There's a little bit of a delay on the chats. That's why my lovely wife's been texting. You might hear it dinging a little bit, but little bit of a delay on the chats. But that's all right. I'll get to them. You're not interrupting me any. I think it's part of the charm of the show. That's what we call it, the charm of the show. When things go weird, makes it sound even better, right? Let's see. Check the chats on here. Nothing there. That's cool. And check on this one real quick. Bear with me just a second. All right. Let me get back out of this stuff. I can see all my chats here. Pull that up. All right. So, the Appalachian White Thang. It is a legend here. Let me pull up some of the pictures of it. Hold on a second. Let me get this moved. Boom, do that. I'm doing some moving around on here. Now then, Appalachian White Thang. Boom. There you go. That's a rendering of it. It's kind of a Sasquatch looking thing, right? The Appalachians don't end at any arbitrary lines. The southern reaches flow into Alabama's dense forests, the valleys, the hollers, and prime territory for its own enduring legend, the Alabama White Thang. Sightings date all the way back to the early 1900s, and it's concentrated in the northern counties, and it's often called Alabama's most famous cryptid. Descriptions vary, but they cluster around a massive, shaggy, white-furred creature, 7 to 10 foot tall, upright, capable of running on all fours with like a big cat or a bear. Glowing red eyes, sometimes yellow, high-pitched screams like a woman or a baby in distress. Unlike Sasquatch, it's got agility in the trees, so it can move through the trees as well. It very much sounds a lot like the Bigfoot, right? But this one has got white or grayish fur. Mm. And it is sometimes even mentioned that got like a foul odor, which is pretty common with Sasquatch. So there's very much some similarities there. Some call it Bigfoot's albino cousin, but others insist that it's much more of a feline type creature instead of the ape type creature that we know of Bigfoot to be. Um, in Cortland's Big Nance Creek area, it's the smaller slow thing or slough thing. And that's like emerging around the wetlands and the swampy areas, things like that. Same type creature, but slight variation. They call it a slough thing, which is a regional thing there. But it's basically the same description, um, but it may be just slightly smaller in a way. Um, but it's more than just a legend because they are sightings of this creature too, and encounters that are documented. Um, this is Porch beer. I figured it'd be very fitting since this is Front Porch Forensics. So here's my porch beer. So let's get into some of the encounters, some of the detailed encounters of the Alabama White Thang, or the Slough Thing, depending on where you're at. In Guntersville State Park Road encounter is what this one's called. This happened in 2002. A family left the campgrounds after dark. But if you're not familiar with Guntersville State Park, Guntersville Lake is a big lake. They have the Bass Masters tournament there. Sometimes it's on that tour. Um, Excellent fishing. Is very famous for the bass there. Very very popular spot in north central Alabama, I guess. And surrounding it is some campgrounds, pretty popular campgrounds, and there's a golf course, things like that. It's a great camping trip spot. So this family left the campground area after dark. Again, shouldn't do that, but at least they were in a car, right? So let's get into this one. On the twisty wooded roads, which around this camp there's no straight areas on this road. Everything's curvy. Part of the charm. If you grew up in these mountains, you're used to that. You go out west, you can have a stretch of road that's miles and miles and miles long, that's straight as an arrow. Here, nah, you ain't gonna find that. So on this twisty wooded road, their headlights swept a ditch at a T section where the roads come up to touch. The driver saw what looked like a huge albino Bengal tiger eating a dead deer. Now that's his description of it. Again, like I said, a lot of times with the Alabama White Thang, it is more cat-like than ape-like. So it's sitting there eating a deer on all fours, the eyes reflecting the light from their car. It looked up at the car, and they could see very clearly that it had blood-stained mouth and down its face where it had been eating, kind of like a red beard, if you will. His wife independently described the exact same thing in different interviews. Both were very shaken, and they didn't like turn back. They didn't change their stories and everything. They stayed true to their stories on this. Now there's older reports in the 1940s from the same park, from the Guntersville State Park, and they described a very very similar experience. Very much a cat-like creature feasting on the deer. Guntersville State Park's very heavily populated with deer. And in the 40s, they had another encounter. So 62 years different there of a very similar cat-like white creature, again, feeding on a deer. So two different accounts, eyewitness accounts reported in writing, independently investigated of the Alabama White Thang in Gunnersville State Park. The 1930s, this is the Slough Thing, Big Nance Creek in 1930s. During the Great Depression, Mayor Linda Peoples, her mother encountered it near the marshy slough. Multi-generational reports describe a pale form rising from the wetlands at night. Um, and they also reported screams, yells, the sound of the woman screams and the baby crying that they attribute to the Alabama White Thing or the Slough Thing in this area here. Again, no photos, nothing like that, just eyewitness reports. And this was the mayor of the area, so someone who had something to lose by sharing this report. The mother of the mayor is the one who actually had the eyewitness encounter. But if you're somebody with a leadership role, why would you jeopardize that? Why would you share that information knowing that you're going to be ridiculed for it? You know, there's nothing to win. There's nothing to gain here by sharing that. So why should we disbelieve them immediately, right? 1960s, church singing road crossing is this what this one's called. A woman and her sisters drove home from an evening church event. Um, they saw these big eyes reflecting ahead of them, and they thought it was a deer. Immediately thought, again, deer are everywhere down here. Then they report that a large white creature with a, quote, angry man's face. They said it was bear-like, but moving on hands and feet, crossed the road in front of them. So they screamed and fled back into the church and reported what they'd seen. Immediately, the men of the church went out to see if they could find what they was looking for. They couldn't find the creature, but they did see signs that something large had crossed the road, from ditch to ditch. But they did not find the creature, and they did not follow it into the woods, which was probably smart on their part. But that's another eyewitness account. The mid-1990s, by a group of neighborhood kids. Children are sometimes not reliable witnesses. We all know that. Their imaginations take control, and they come up with some pretty wild things, right? So these children play in Spotlight in the woods. Spotlight is the game we're using flashlights, and you hit the spotlight on somebody or the flashlight on somebody, and it like freezes them type thing, right? So the children playing Spotlight in the woods saw a, quote, hairy white thing. One jokingly called him Beetlejuice 3 times, trying to get his attention. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I think everybody knows that movie. The same thing, kind of like the Candyman thing, where you or the where you say the name 3 times and you call it to you, right? So one kid jokingly called Beetlejuice 3 times, trying to get it to come to him, but his voice, when he voiced Beetlejuice loudly, the creature is said to hunch down and backed away from the group. At that point, the group was genuinely terrified, so they went and found their parents and told the story immediately. I'm not sure what they thought they saw at first. They thought they could mess with it and play, but children are children, right? When the creature reacted, they immediately left and fled because they got a reaction out of it. Okay. Sportsman Park fishing is the name of this one. No timeline on this one, but they said it's in recent decades. A couple heard an unnatural, high-pitched, terrifying scream while night fishing. They reported that they stopped immediately and uh, returned back to the bank, to the shore, and they left. They went home. They did not stay around, right? And they report that they will no longer fish there, and they will not return to the area after dark. They always make sure they leave before dark, right? And again, with the screams, um, I've spent probably, if you add all up all the time camping, solo camping by myself, years camping in the area, and I've heard things myself that don't sound like a normal animal. I know foxes, they make a lot of weird noises. Owls can make some pretty strange noises, things like that. But sometimes, sometimes these things, if something's unnatural, right? And I think I know, these people. Again, why do we immediately discount their stories? What do they have to gain by making something up? So December 2023. This is the most recent one, right? A couple reported a sighting while heading to church. Um, I don't have the location on that one, but as of 2023 is the most recent one I saw, or that I found, as far as reporting. They saw the white creature crossing the road once again, somewhere around 8 to 9 feet tall. It was moving on four legs, and then when the car got it full in view, it stood up on its two legs and ran into the woods away from them. So car-based sightings are pretty common. A pale shape steps out into the headlights. It stares with reflective eyes, often either yellow or red, then vanishes, or usually by loping array, or in loping I mean long strides, not necessarily down on all fours, but long strides stepping out. Again, very much a Sasquatch type description. I think it's interesting that the Alabama White Thang has more of a cat-like face, or instead of an ape-like face, which I think is pretty sets it apart. Um, the creature appears nocturnal. It is very fast and very elusive, and the sightings are also preceded by vocalizations, the screams, the unnatural smell or odor precedes the the sightings. Sometimes not necessarily precede it, but go along with them. Um, it's the way it's created, the way it seems to move, the way its agility works with the trees, and again, it's reported that it can move through trees pretty regularly or pretty easily. Um, it seems like it's very well adapted to these mountains here in North Alabama, going on up into the Appalachian Mountains. It seems like it's perfectly adapted to these areas. Um, is it related to? I gotta. Is it related to Appalachian cryptids like mimics or mothmans, or is it a genetic anomaly? Um, re, I wouldn't say that it would be related to mothman or a mimic. Um, the sounds that it makes, it sounds more like a woman screaming or a baby crying. I don't know that it's necessarily mimicking those sounds on purpose. I think it may just be. Um, I don't think it's. Let me put it this way. I don't think it's making those noises mimicking those noises with intent. I think it may just be its vocalizations naturally, or that it's heard those noises, so it mimics them as a call, something like that. But the mimic uses those vocalizations to draw you nearer to them. There's no reports that the Alabama White Thing tries to draw you to it or get you close to it. It's just one of those things that may be a natural sound, and that's just the best way we can um, describe it as a woman or a baby, right? Another question: is it a genetic anomaly or an undiscovered animal? The daughter just arrived. The what? Stop what? You don't want me to whistle? Daughter just got off from work, and I just figured I'd whistle at her real quick.
Me versus 30 cars. Who will win? Not me.
Sounds like she had a rough night.
2 people up front. 4 people in back. 6 people total working a 5-hour shift.
That was it. Busy night on a Saturday night. That's all they had.
There was 30 cars.
Nice.
We were all the way out to the road.
Oh wow.
And it was 2 people up front.
Oh wow. So you had a long night then. Well, go get some rest. I'm doing front porch forensics. Oh, you got to work tomorrow too. What time? Okay. We may come after church, get some lunch.
Come inside. Do not go through the drive.
Okay. That's the Tiny Tyrant. We're doing I'm doing front porch forensics Cryptid Chronicles. That's why I whistled at you, because I knew it kind of scares you a little.
It does. So I'm
You're
gonna lock it.
gonna lock everything now?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can't come without an invitation.
That's right. They can't come without an invitation.
Why am I Bigfoot?
Because I don't want people to see where you work. That's the Alabama White Thing. That's not Bigfoot. It's very much a Bigfoot lot, but they say it's much more like a cat instead.
I covered my logo.
Okay. We'll just step over there. Your mother is inside. What is your favorite? Okay, first off, we talked about Appalachian rules first, right?
Right.
About don't whistle, things like that. Don't, if something calls you, if something calls you, then don't answer. If you see something, you didn't actually see anything. Now, I didn't name where she worked. I just said that she had a long night. So, what's your favorite cryptid, or what's your favorite rule?
My favorite rule?
Yeah.
I would have to say definitely the no whistling at night, and don't answer when your name is being called and you know you're alone.
Right. Don't answer when your name's being called. When you know you're alone, don't whistle at night. That's your 2 rules you live by.
2 rules, yeah.
Right. Cool. Well, I know you're getting tired. I'll let you run in.
Right, what does that taste like?
It's good. Tastes like a beer.
You try?
No. Because you're not old enough to drink.
I know I'm not old enough to drink. It's just a tiny baby sip.
No, you can't do that.
Stay shady, I guess.
That's right. You bring your mom lunch or dinner?
Well, I tried, but we were out of everything.
Okay.
I got friends.
All righty. Well, she's going in now to she's finished her shift, and she had to close tonight, so she put in some hours. But that's the Tiny Tyrant. Like she's mentioned, I mentioned earlier the whistle thing, and I don't know if y'all could hear it. I don't think the mic picked it up. When she got out of the car, I whistled at her, and she immediately said, "Don't do that. Stop it." And then she locked the gate on the porch, because if you don't invite them in, they can't come in. Pretty good rules to follow. Like I said, she's got a good head on her shoulders. So, is it the Alabama White Thing? Is it related to mimics of Mothman? Is it a genetic anomaly? Is it an undiscovered animal? Is it something older that's tied to the land? Again, this land is super old. I think it's more the undiscovered animal in the same vein that Sasquatch is. Um, that's kind of where I lean. That's where I land on it. Would be just an undiscovered animal, much like Sasquatch. I think they're probably some sort of relation, because you have the Yeti, you have the swamp ape, you have Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and then the Alabama White Thang. So I think they all kind of related in that way. But I'll go ahead and start, since she's home. I'll go ahead and start shutting everything down. From from the Appalachian rules that we've kept generations safe to Alabama's white things screaming through the pines, these stories remind us that the mountains and the forests are alive with mystery. Respect the silence, heed the old warnings, and if you see something pale moving through the trees, know you didn't. You just keep driving and don't turn back. What rules did your family teach? Have you encountered the Alabama White Thing or something that's kin to? Share with me in the comments and messages once you watch this video, because it will be later on. It'll be put on YouTube. You'll be able to find it on any of the podcast players that you look up. It will be, this show will be put under the Front Porch Forensics label. So wherever you find Front Porch Forensics, you will also find Front Porch Forensics Cryptid Chronicles. So you can always comment there as well. I'd love to read it. I'd love to see what you think. And hopefully if this goes well, we'll have some other episodes too later on. And I know I enjoy doing it, that's for sure. But yeah, this is just an addition to Front Porch Forensics. And I hope you've enjoyed it. So thanks for joining on this long ramble through the shadows. So stay curious and stay safe. And until next time, may the haints stay on their side of the hollow. Let's not give them a reason to come find you. Don't whistle. Don't call them up. Leave them be. Like I said, if you see something, know you didn't. Good night, y'all. This is BumpStock Ken for Front Porch Forensics, and this is Cryptid Chronicles, Episode 1. Y'all stay safe out there.
I listen to a lot of hungry woods reaching high, snatch the light out from the sky. Leafy sighs, creaking bones, pray you don't get found alone. Crickly crack, the branches pop, it grows the night that never stops. The tree that leans with twisted grin, her limbs are thrown, her soul is sin. Underneath the crooked moon.
Let's see. Check the chats on here. Nothing there. That's cool. Check on.
Walks the king on cloven hoof, in pale decay and empty gloom. He comes for you. Six horns his crown, his kingdom all. For life delicious heed his call. He carries six of sword and seal. Once wayward souls the